This is the last place you'd want to be quarantined. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're exploring the eerie remains of a lost French village that was seemingly abandoned overnight. Our story begins here in the remote valley of the French Pyrenees. The region's history dates back to Roman times. In fact, this particular area was once known as Gallia Narbonensis, or the province of Naro. But much of what you see here today dates back to the Middle Ages, and this is the period of our story. The year is 1363 AD. The 100 Years' War between England and France has been raging for nearly 70 years. And while it's called the 100 Years' War, it's far from continuous fighting. Both sides take periods of peace to regroup, refit, and prepare for more war. But there's never any true peace between these two nations. There's always tension, always the threat of violence. And here in the isolated valleys of southern France, a small farming community goes about their daily lives. They tend their crops, they pray to God, and they hope that this year will bring them good fortune. Maybe they'll even outlive the Black Death. You see, the bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death, had been ravaging Europe since 1346, killing millions in its wake. It's unclear if it was transmitted by rats or by fleas, but either way, it seemed to come out of nowhere. Victims would begin with a fever, weakness, and aching bones. Then black spots would appear on their skin, where the blood vessels had burst. It was horrible and it was deadly. Most victims would succumb to the disease within a week, so the folks here in the valley work hard to avoid it. After all, there's no cure, so your best chance at survival was a robust immune system and clean living. So the people of the village tend their farms and they hope for a good year. But suddenly everything changes. Travelers pass through the village. Maybe they've come from a neighboring town. Maybe they've just finished haggling at the market in Carcassonne. Either way, the people of the village welcome them and share what little food they have. But after the travelers leave, a few of the villagers start to feel ill. At first it's nothing serious, just a bit of a fever and some weakness. But soon those symptoms worsen. Blood starts to spill under their skin. They scream in pain and terror as they realize what's happening. They have the plague, and there's nothing they can do about it. One by one, the villagers fall victim to the disease until every single person in the village is dead. And that's when the legend of this place was born. Overnight, an entire village was wiped out by the plague. This must have been horrifying to witness. Can you imagine waking up one morning and your entire community is lying dead at your feet? Well, maybe you don't need to use your imagination, because that's exactly what happened here. Welcome to Oradour-sur-Glane. You may not have heard of this place before, but what you're looking at now is the chilling legacy of a lost village frozen in time. Here are the foundations of the homes and businesses of a forgotten community. And over here you can see the ruined chapel. These structures are only a couple centuries old, but they're already in ruins. Imagine walking down a path and coming across this scene. It's almost like someone pressed pause on this place hundreds of years ago and then forgot to hit play again. And yes, you can visit this place today. It's open to the public, but that's about the only place in the world you can visit a site like this without disturbing a crime scene. Because this isn't just a mysterious, abandoned village. It's actually a haunting reminder of a terrible crime. During World War II, Nazi Germany occupied much of France, and they were particularly brutal in the southern region of the country. That's when the French resistance began carrying out attacks against the Germans, which led to retaliation. On June 1944, German soldiers arrived in Oradour-sur-Glane, rounding up the residents and forcing them into the schoolhouse and church. The men were separated from the women and children and told they were being relocated, but instead, the men were taken to a nearby forest and shot dead. Then the women and children were locked inside the church and burned alive. It was horrific, and it was a turning point in the war. The French people were outraged and committed to liberating their country from the Nazis. Just 3 months later, Allied troops would liberate Paris and eventually the rest of France. Today, the village is a memorial and museum to the victims, and the surrounding countryside has been made into a nature reserve. We're not going to show you the remains of the schoolhouse or the mass grave, but if you visit this place yourself, you'll see these things. There's even a display case with the personal belongings of those who died here. It's heartbreaking to think that these items belong to real people who are no longer here to use them. In the end, over 600 people lost their lives here. That's why we told you the story of the plague. It's a local legend and a great way to set the tone for this video. Because the thing is, this is an ancient place, thousands of years old. But it wasn't always called Oradour-sur-Glane. For hundreds of years, it was known as Villanova. And we don't know much about this period of its history, only that it was established in the 1st century AD, probably by Roman colonists. We're going to go check out the church, the main point of interest at the site. As you approach it, you might notice that the roof has collapsed. This is the interior, and you might notice that the pews are still in place, as well as a few other items. Look at the ground, and you'll see what looks like a half-eaten loaf of bread. And what's that over there? Are those shoes? What about over here? Is that a quill pen? And right here we see a very interesting feature. Look closely and you'll see a number of scrolls hanging from the wall. Now this might look like a movie prop, but trust me, these are authentic medieval manuscripts. What were they doing in a church? Nobody knows. They could have been records of tithes and donations, but nobody has ever been able to decipher the writing. Whoever did write them didn't leave us a key to their code, and that's another oddity of this place. Throughout the structure, you'll find strange markings carved into the walls. We're not sure what most of them mean, but a lot of them seem to be astrological or alchemical in nature. Over here, we can see a hand-drawn symbol of the plague, and this one seems to represent Mercury. What about this one over here? What does this one mean? And how about this one? We don't know. The people who lived here are long gone, so we'll never ask them. And there's another part of the church that's really bizarre. Look behind the altar and you'll see a door set into the wall. This is actually a bricked-up doorway. Why would they build a wall here? We don't know. And what's really creepy is that this door sways in the wind and it makes a whistling sound. Locals say this is the voice of the village, whispering the legends of her people. We're going to go outside now and explore the rest of the village. And while we're out here, I want to mention something. A lot of people say places like this are cursed, and the truth is, there are a lot of creepy things about this place. From the moment you step foot on the grounds, you can feel the weight of history pressing down on you. It's like a physical sensation. But I never felt anything like that until I visited Rennes-le-Château a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video yet, I highly recommend checking it out next. And while you're at it, please subscribe if you enjoy these videos. Also, please give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.